You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Arrow After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Arrow After Show.
Hello, good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, depending on what time zone you are in. Welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV. I'm Alikona Bradford here, throwing it down just for you for the Arrow After Show. And if you notice, our testosterone is missing. We had him, and now he's gone. But thank you very much. Welcome back, Kellie.
Yes. Hi, I'm back. It's good to be back, and I'm sad that
What are the
it was
odds?
going to be the three of us next week.
I know.
I'm going for next
What's
week.
the irony? She leaves, we get a man, we're like, yeah, and then she can't come. And now he's not here. But yes, next week we will be reunited.
Yeah, Three Musketeers.
Yes. All right, so let's talk about tonight's show. The first thing I want to talk about, okay, the title is Keep Your Enemies Closer, which makes me think a little bit about what's going on because we open with Isabel, who right away is throwing her weight around, and
I do not like her character like at all.
no, me neither.
Can't.
Because, yeah, you guys are quote-unquote partners, but she keeps on trying to put Oliver in check, and it's really annoying, you know? And then on top of that, she's insinuating that he's with Felicity. And he's like, wait, hold on, who else thinks this? You know? And she's like, well, I don't know. I just don't care for her
Everybody
at all.
that works at Queen Consolidated.
Right. I mean, either it's nepotism or, girl, we're not sleeping together. You know?
The thing that I find funny, though, is that she's kind of put it down like being an IT girl was not meant she wasn't smart. Like, how does she go from
Right.
IT? She, like, it sounded like the assistant to the CEO was a better gig, which depending upon how you look at it, maybe. But you have to, you know, you have to have some certain level of intelligence to be in IT. So,
Right.
I don't know. Just that comparison I thought was funny.
And Felicity doesn't think it's a promotion at all,
No.
obviously.
No. She feels like it's a demotion.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And she's already starting to see a little bit of something with Isabel because from their first interaction, she's like, and then obviously trying to get Oliver out because they have to go handle their situation
Right.
and work on her excuses because she sucks at
She's
them.
so awkward about it. She's just such a bad liar.
I know. Well, good and bad quality, I guess.
Well, that just shows her innocence, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So then we go into I'm not quite sure what the mission was exactly. I just know that Oliver shows up and Diggle's got his back and he's hiding, but then there's Roy who's trying to be a part of the situation. And once again, Oliver's like, "Bam, go home. Thanks for the insight. You did your part. Bye."
Mm-hmm.
And of course, stupid Roy just decides that he's going to stay. And what does he do? Get arrested.
But he captures a bad guy. He did a citizen's arrest.
Yeah, that didn't work at all. He was trying, though.
But he did stop the guy. The guy did not get away.
This is true.
So
This
at
is
least
true.
there's that.
Yeah, he dropped the little arrow bomb on Lance. I want to call him Detective Lance, but he's not a detective anymore.
No,
Officer
yeah.
Lance.
Yes.
And got released. And there's that whole mini story too. I think let's just cover some of the small topics before we get into the heavy stuff.
Okay.
So for me, it's Roy and Thea. Their little story, if you will, about him being a former, how you want to call it?
Felon.
There you go. There's a good word. And her hanging out with him affecting the case with Thea's mom.
Mhm.
Now, the whole time I'm watching the conversation that she's having with Roy, I just want her to be honest with him because it's such a typical story of I have to break up with you for the greater good, but I'm not going to tell you why because I would rather just hurt you and cut you off so you'll leave me alone and we can end this with a clean break.
But the thing is she is begging for him to be honest with her, and she turns around and it's, you know,
Yeah.
and lies straight to him.
Right.
So there is still that level of secrecy that he's keeping from her still, but they keep going back and forth with it at each other.
Yeah.
And I guess it is. Sometimes it's easier just to cut it than to have him try to talk her out of it.
Of course.
Because then it'll, you know,
Well, if
she
you
won't be
seem like
strong
the-
enough to do it.
I suppose if you seem like the jerk in the situation and you're enough of a jerk, the other person will hate you enough to not try to resolve
Well, sometimes it's
things.
easier to be angry than it is to be hurt.
True.
So maybe that's what she was going for.
But I love that we get to see the maturity of Moira.
Yes.
I mean, as weird as that sounds, because she is clearly an adult, but at the same time, her last season being such a liar, it's almost from the outside not realizing why she's lying, but it seems very childish. Her behavior seems childish to me. And so now that all her skeletons are out of the closet, she's in jail, now I feel like I'm actually seeing a mother. And
exactly.
maybe that's because she doesn't have the weight on her shoulders of having to lie about so many things or scared for her life or her kids' safety, that she can just be her.
And we're actually seeing her put her kids' feelings in front of what's happening to her. So she doesn't, she didn't like that her lawyer went and talked to Thea and told her that she needed to stop seeing Roy because he was a felon and it's going to hurt your mother's case, blah, blah, blah. Same old story.
Right.
That, it's a reflection of you and all of that. And I like that she's like, that's not the case. Don't worry about it. You're doing good. You've picked yourself up. You're doing very well. And a lot of it is, probably attributed to him. So but I like that she did that. She wanted to keep them together and keep her happy, and that was nice to see.
Yeah. I think she probably at this point feels like she's been selfish for so long. Obviously, the circumstances are because of fear, but at the same time, there's been so many wrongs in her life that I think now she's living her life to do good. And if she ever does make it out of jail, I would like to see where that goes, because I could see it turning into her being more of a charitable person, and not just for the whole facade of I've cleaned up my act, but truly deeply passionate about helping people after she's caused so much pain.
Yeah, that would be nice to see. And just seeing her be a mother, just solely a mother.
Right.
I think would be nice too.
Random thought, I like the hair back, no makeup look on her.
Yeah.
She looks very naturally beautiful.
She is. Yeah, she looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah. it works for her, that prison look.
It does, right? It'll do it for you, huh, boys? Anyhow, going into the real meat of the story of tonight's episode, we find out that Diggle we knew he was married, but his ex-wife, just a little bit more of the in-depth story. He's obviously still in love with her, willing to go all the way to Russia. He wants to do this for her, for himself, without Oliver being the main, not hero, if you will, but at the same time, the main target that could potentially get hurt. And so I love that Oliver finally has his back. Selfishly has his back, because in the past he kind of did, but there was always his own motives that distracted him, and Diggle would be left high and dry.
Right.
But this time around, it was all about Diggle. Let's help you get whatever you need to get accomplished.
And I think he looks at everything in such a different way now, and he gets it. Like, he gets the bigger picture, and that showed a lot what teamwork is, what that means, and what it is to have somebody look after you. The way that people have been looking after him.
Right.
Ever since he was on the island, he had people that have always had his back down there. Aside from the flashbacks that we see of Sarah, which we need to get into, but but aside from that, it's Diggle's had his back from the very beginning, and now it was nice to see him kind of give it back.
Yeah, exactly. So going into Russia, of course, our favorite character, Isabel, shows up.
Gosh.
Because you're nosy, first of all, and I understand trying to play devil's advocate and looking at it from her perspective. She sees this man who she's supposedly partners with, and he's going off somewhere, potentially maybe to be with his quote-unquote lover, allegedly, or just spending company money he shouldn't, or the fact that he actually had a location for Queen Consolidated in Russia that she didn't know about. So she's a little ticked.
But they do have one there.
Exactly.
But
she didn't know about it.
No, she did. She thought he was going to have a meeting without her.
Oh, I thought she just was saying I didn't even know this location existed.
She did. Okay. But she thought he was going to have meetings without taking her, or not without telling her.
Got it.
Yeah.
Ugh. Diva.
I mean, as much homework as she's done, she better have known that there was a Russia,
That's true.
part out there.
Good point. Okay,
because she's, she's so on point and so by the book, and everything has to be done right. Then, no meetings without her. She has to be there.
And I don't know if it was the first scene that we saw her when she was actually in Russia, but all I can remember is her in the foofy hat. I'm like, really, you're one of those people. Let me just, since I'm
then, of course, she speaks Russian. Of course she does.
Because coincidentally, she was adopted by Russian people and then taken to the U.S. What?
So we find out a little bit about her backstory, that she was, a foster kid. We don't know what happened to her parents or anything yet. So there's that that's where I think that edge and that sharpness comes from, and her detachment from people is because apparently she's, had that lonely feeling for, the majority of her life.
Which unfortunately is a bonding situation for her and Oliver. We'll talk about that in just a second. Oddly, or not oddly, but funny, I actually just got a Twitter, and maybe she hasn't seen this episode yet, but Meg Z3 says, did we get our shirtless Oliver scene this week? Say yes. No, we did not get the shirtless scene today, but that's okay. We have plenty more episodes to go. We actually got some Diggle shirtless action, but we'll talk about that later too. So anyhow, going back to the fact that we get a little bit of her history, we get to see Oliver speak his Russian as well and reunite with his buddy Anatoly. And you made a good point. We won't talk about the island quite yet, but he's the gentleman that's in the cage in the island on the boat.
It looked like the same person to me.
Right.
So I think that's how they bonded, and how he got that close relationship, and how he learned Russian.
Right.
Being there.
Became Anatoly's favorite American. With Diggle in a close running second.
Absolutely.
But so there's this whole big, huge plan to break into the prison. Once you get in, it's hard getting out. They set Diggle up with some drugs, right? And he's just... the scene is funny to me
because he's just sitting there waiting.
Yeah, it's not like he's acting suspicious and he's doing some sort of drug exchange and he gets busted by the military enforcement. Yeah. He's just sitting on the side of the road with a duffel bag.
They don't even look in it. They just arrest him.
No, and then not even that, but Diggle's just like, hey, take me. And the guy walks up to him with a bat or a baton. Boom. Yeah. What was the point of that? Because he was really resisting arrest.
They have to show their authority. Remember when Anatoly was talking about the prison, he said, killers, psychos, and whatever, and that's just the guards.
Right.
Not even the prisoners. So, we already know that's not a very fun place to be because the guards are so awful.
But you would think logically that kind of stuff happens in the prison as far as the guards throwing you around, beating you up. But when they just find you on the side of the road and decide to whack you with a baton.
I guess that's how they roll in Russia.
I guess. Well, I don't plan on visiting anytime soon. At least the Russian prisons anyway. But so once he finally gets in, several things, little things. His prison his prison cellmate made a comment about, oh, it's not common to have people like you. Diggle's all, American? No, like rubbing his face.
People of your skin tone.
Yeah. And I like how Diggle's like, shocker.
Yeah.
He's probably like,
Yeah.
we're not
and it's, and at least he gets in with a non-violent offender. The guy was in there for protesting.
Yeah. But of course they had to have, part of me was like, oh, it's so stereotypical, but maybe that's how it would be in Russian prison. But he's in the cafeteria and some gang comes up and wants to pick a fight. I'm like, really? I'm just going to say it. Really? Pick on the black guy? Why? Because he's black?
Well, I mean, but he's also the new guy. And if you've any prison show I've ever watched, be it Prison Break, Oz, whatever, that's kind of a thing that happens. You got to show who's boss right away to the newbies that come in. And I think that's kind of what it was. Because his cellmate tells him, these are the guys that are in charge, so you want to stay away from them.
Right.
And so I think they were just trying to show their authority right away.
Oh, they showed him when they got their leg broke.
But then he gets chained up in the freezer.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if that fight would have continued going, I'm pretty sure Diggle would have taken out the entire gang all by himself.
He probably would have, yes.
You don't mess with people. Especially not a big guy like him.
Yeah, well, and he's trained.
Well, yeah, but they don't know that, obviously. The perception is, but still, you see a big guy, you don't mess with him.
True.
But, yeah, they put him in a freezer, and of course, there's Deadshot.
Right in front of him, chained up right in front of him.
What are the odds?
So how does he, okay, he'd been chained there for how long?
And he's cool.
All of a sudden.
He's chilling. Like, yeah, it's cool. What's up?
All of a sudden, he sees Diggle. Diggle gets out, and now all of a sudden, he gets out.
Yeah, I don't know.
And stabs the guard with the ice. Like, really?
Yeah.
How come he couldn't get out, like, before?
Who knows?
I guess he just didn't want to before because, he sees Diggle, and so he realizes that he's not an idiot. He's got an exit strategy. He's not going to come in there and now. So here's a real chance for him to get out. So then I guess then he decides to unchain himself.
I don't know. And the interesting thing, they didn't really truly explain. They said that Lyla went in because of Deadshot, but because of, which was weird, they were calling him John instead of Diggle.
Yeah.
But what? Why? I know that it's his arch enemy, but at the same time,
like every time he's met with her, they talk about it.
Oh.
And the last time she said, they met up. and when he was telling her about the breakup, and that was kind of the reason why. And so she was following a lead, and then she found him and got stuck and then got caught inside the prison.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of how that happened. But it's, it's always been chasing. That's been kind of, his, what do you call it? The crux around there, the thing around your neck, whatever, that he can't let this go.
Yeah.
And it's good to see that he finally gets to face it. They have a real conversation. He ends up having to, take his help in order to go save Lyla, which is a big thing. And that goes in line with the title, Keep Your Enemies Closer.
You know what? Okay, somebody just tweeted me a very interesting hypothesis, if you will. So Ryan with Allison, who tweets us during the show, thank you so much for your insight, says that he thinks that the attack by the gang was set up by Anatoly so that way it gets Diggle away from the population. That's an interesting theory.
It could be, and I kind of thought that at first because, when Diggle realizes who that guard is, that he gives him kind of a heads up, he kind of nods at him, so maybe he realized this was going to happen. So that totally makes sense, and that could have been it. And the likelihood of him getting actually chained to Deadshot, I don't know if that was kind of prearranged. I think that was seriously a coincidence.
Right.
But he wasn't in there long before the other guy came and got him out. So that totally makes sense.
And I will say this about Diggle. First of all, I didn't think that they were really going to work together and all get out at the same time. I honestly thought that Diggle might leave him behind. But being the honorable man that he is, he kept his word and took him out with him, which I thought was kind of cool and weird all at the same time, to be honest with you. And then just finishing up this topic, and then of course we'll move on to Felicity because somebody is already tweeting me about that as well. But okay, so we have the big fight scene. We talked about last week how amazing the CW is for creating these fight scenes and choreograph them so nicely. And when Oliver comes in dressed as a guard, you even heard me in the theater. I'm like, who is that?
Yeah, it was hard to tell
because I'm so used to him coming into a fight with a hood and eyeshadow on. So for him not to have the getup, obviously you're in a foreign country, so apparently it just doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but just bare face.
Yeah.
Of course, again, if a guard came on with green eyeshadow, I suppose I'd be a little suspicious.
No, but he definitely blended in because he, all of a sudden he's standing there and then, he's starting to fight.
Yeah. Standing there 1 second and then 10 people are laying on the ground 10 seconds later. Right.
But I like that he didn't even question why Deadshot was even with them. It's just like, get in, get in. There was no pause.
Point.
There was nothing. We have one mission, get the heck out of here. Nothing is stalling us. And even when they're in the van, like Diggle's the one that was like, stop the truck. And they had their moment.
Now, did you think that Diggle was actually going to shoot Deadshot? No?
No, I didn't. He's too good of a man. If he really wanted to, he would have done it the first time, and it was kind of the same situation. Right. But I think this was better because he gets a little bit more information, and what he really needs is closure about what really happened to his brother. Right. And I think now he has a lead to really find that out.
And I was not expecting that at all.
No.
It was almost, in a weird way, Deadshot's thank you in a very
I think
dark
that's
way.
absolutely what that was.
Yeah.
Absolutely what that was. It's like, I understand why you hate me, but think about, let me give you something for your peace of mind to kind of help guide you in a different and maybe the right direction.
Right. But that's a whole different storyline on its own because now that this is not an accident and you were a hired contractor to specifically kill Diggle's brother, what was your brother doing and involved in that someone wanted to kill him?
Exactly.
He obviously wasn't clearly innocent, or if he was innocent, he was fighting a cause that was upsetting somebody else.
Right. So now we were introduced to Hive, the alias Hive. So what is that? What is that all about?
Who knows? And what part of the country is he from?
Yeah.
She. Not going to discriminate.
Could be.
Right. Okay, so I have another tweet from Comic Book Geek 16. The Russian guy is a villain in the comics also titled on IMDb. Wait, which Russian guy? I'm sorry, can you tweet me and tell me which Russian guy? Because sometimes I get these tweets a little bit after we've moved on to the next topic.
He's probably talking about the main one, right?
Huh?
Like the one he goes to for help.
Oh, okay. Anatoly?
Anatoly, is that what you're talking about?
Quite possibly. I'm getting another tweet, so I will be able to finish up this bit of information. Called KG Beast. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. But hopefully I'll get another tweet and you can tell me what that's about. Moving on, though, I'll come back to that. Of course, course I'm going to talk about Felicity. You guys know. But this whole episode, I just wanted to crumble in a ball and be like, oh, I'm so sorry, girl. I feel your pain because, it's so frustrating. Because it's clear now that both of them are aware that there's some sort of something there, right?
Well, you can't spend a lot of time with someone, as much time as they spend in life-threatening situations all the time, and there not be something.
True.
That's natural.
But at the same time, the way the story could be played out is that he looks at her like a little sister. And quite possibly that's how she feels, because it's not like he ever really reciprocates any of her flirtation. Not that she's directly flirting.
Right.
But the awkwardness, the stumbling, the nervousness that clearly there's a little bit of. Even though we work together all the time, if you really like somebody or you're attracted to them, sometimes you just get flimsy and goofy and stuff falls out of your mouth.
Yes, you definitely get a little flustered and, you're not on your, top of your game. Because
right.
there's something that kind of shakes you up a little bit.
Right. But he always plays it cool. And for 2 seconds, I thought something was going to happen because when they were in Russia and something was happening, an exchange of words between Oliver and some gentlemen outside of a car, and there's this whole conversation in Russian, and in my notes are like, where are the subtitles?
I know.
What are they talking about? And of course Felicity asks that question for us, and Oliver's response was like, I said please.
And then he winks at her.
Yes, and the wink was really cute. I'm
the
sorry,
wink
guys.
was super cute.
It was. And so I thought, oh, okay, this is like, the start of something, okay?
No, I am still not on that team.
Okay,
no.
But seriously, are you on team Isabel? Because I'm not.
No, absolutely not. But I totally get that. That's easier. And his explanation of it to Felicity totally makes sense.
Oh,
and I kind of, and I actually liked her a little bit better after I found out she was Russian. It kind of like, it just,
really?
I don't know. It just, because once she talked about herself, had a couple of vodka shots, she seemed to kind of relax a little bit.
Right.
And it changed, at least my perception of her. I don't know what you guys think, if you thought about her a little bit different. But it made me more open to her character, and I kind of hated her a lot less after, like, hearing a little bit about her. No. Excuse me, I'm, like, choking on my words. No, I don't want them together. I don't like it, but I get it. They're both loners.
Right.
She basically told him he's this mirror image of her. And they both have this kind of like lonely detachment thing going on. So that in itself makes sense. Like with Felicity, there's too much emotion. She's, that would be, and what he said there, I feel like he was talking about somebody that could potentially be with her.
Right.
And because that's real, that's deep, that's a lot of emotions. And with Isabel, there's none. It's physical.
But is it really smart to sleep with somebody who's supposedly your partner?
Well, of course
and
not. That's never smart. But how often do we do the smart thing?
I mean, I thought you were going to say, how often do we sleep with our coworkers? I don't know about you, but me personally.
Wait. Your head went there first. No, but when it comes to attraction and when you're in, having a conversation the way that they were having, sometimes you don't think, you just do. And being a guy and stuff, it's
okay. Let's just change the situation up. Okay, this guy has been a thorn in your behind forever. He's encroaching on what used to be your company and doing all these things, just a big butthole. And then one night he's drunk and then he lets in a little information about himself that you kind of can relate to.
I kind of think that might have been his tactic to kind of soften her up. I don't think Oliver's stupid, and I don't think he does anything without thinking. I think this is definitely going to change the dynamic of their relationship, whether it be good or bad. But it kind of gives him a little bit of an upper hand because she's trying to be this strong businesswoman. She talks about it, how hard it is and all these things that she's had to do. And when at least I would think, and a lot of people that I've talked to, and this is strictly just my opinion, but I think when you're really trying to be taken seriously as a woman and in such a powerful business position, the last thing you want is to be sleeping your way to the top or be sleeping, you know what I mean? So I think that in itself is going to be an issue. And kind of be something where she is going to kind of tone it down just a tad because now their relationship is a little bit different. And I think that might have been his plan, to kind of get her to chill out a second. Because he's got to do so many of these things.
Let me use my penis to chill you out for a second.
Hey, it could work. We'll see.
I mean, just saying. So, no, but you know what, though? I don't know, because I think that she liked him from the get-go. I think the hard thing, and I may have mentioned this in a previous AfterBuzz, I think that the whole attitude diva thing, yes, it's a business thing, it's a defense mechanism, but for some reason from the day she walked on to the show, I felt like she was going to have a crush on him.
Of course, he's
something.
hot. He's hot. That's a given. He's hot, he's rich, he's powerful. You know, he gets under her skin and she likes him. And that's totally a given. I think we had talked about it before. We knew that was potentially bound to happen.
Well, according to @RioZen92, he thinks it's just because Oliver was drunk and they had something in common, so it was bound to happen.
Well, I think it was bound to happen anyway, but I don't really think he was all that drunk.
Yeah, no, I honestly don't think so either.
I think that you know, I think, you know, he felt not sorry for her, but he felt like a kindred spirit. You know what I mean? He understood her. And that's easy. It's the same thing with when he slept with that other girl. I can't remember her name. The Huntress.
Yes.
Like that. I feel like it was that same kind of dynamic.
It was speaking of dynamic, though, I feel like it was the same lack of chemistry. There was that physical, lock eyes. Okay, let's go find a bedroom. But that is exactly
the point. That's exactly the point. That's the difference between her and Felicity. And that's what he was saying in that room when he was explaining the reason why. That's the point. That lack of real chemistry, it's just something physical, something to do, to pass the time, to make you feel a little bit better, to be with somebody else. But it's not like a real thing. And I think that's what he was saying.
Right.
It's like, this is a detachment thing. In my line of work, I don't want to be with somebody that way if it's somebody that I feel like I could really have a future with.
Right.
That was the point.
Well, Shelby Lou 2011 says, how can you not be Team Olicity? Amen.
I'm just not I don't know. I'm not ready for that.
So anyway,
I just don't want it to happen too soon. Like, I like the way it is now. I think he truly does care about her. I like the characters both individually a lot. I just don't want them to push it too fast, but I don't want it, you know, dragged out too long either.
Right.
So
yes, Comic Book Geek 16. I do agree. I like seeing Felicity jealous because it's the first time she's actually voicing her jealousy and showing that she has feelings for him. Because to have there be jealous feelings, clearly you have to have feelings for somebody, right?
Right.
And so the worst part about that whole situation is her coming up to the hotel room, and here's Oliver, and of course Isabel, purposely being that kind of woman,
of course she did
rubs
that on
it in her face as
she was just
out.
in her bra like 5 seconds ago. All of a sudden she's dressed and out the door.
Yes. And it was a thorn to my heart, a dagger.
No, it was horrible. And also you see his feelings for Felicity because of how guilty he looks.
Right.
All over his face.
Right. But that's never happened before in any past episode.
No, and I'm not so anti them, but I like that. I like to see the real emotion. I just don't want them to throw them together real fast and cheapen like what they're saying.
No. I mean, definitely think there should be a build-up. It just sucks with during the build-up, one of the characters has to see the other one with another person of the opposite sex.
But that's not the first time she's seen that, though.
No, but I think
she's
this was
seen
more
him with like 4 other people.
This is true, but I think it was more towards the beginning of the relationship, and now that things have developed more, and
well, no, it's definitely different in her feelings. I mean, they're getting stronger every, you know, more and more that they hang out and stuff. But you know, it's part of how it goes, and I'm waiting to see when she gets a new love interest,
which is happening soon.
That's what I'm excited for, and I want to see Oliver's reaction in contrast to this.
Feel the pain, Oliver. Feel the pain. But she was, for me, at the last scene that her and Oliver had together, the epitome of just being that best friend girl. Yeah. You know, that's probably the second. I don't know what the first worst thing is to tell a woman, but I'm going to say that's the close running second, is to tell somebody that you have feelings for them, but we can't be together because A, B, C, or D. Because you should have left it as I don't have feelings for you, not I do, but, because then that leaves room for hope, but not really hope.
But he left it really vague, though. He didn't even say it was for her. He said someone.
He just said because of the life. That's true.
But he didn't say it was to her. He didn't say it to her. He said someone.
Well, we as an audience
know of course. I mean, and that's our perception, and that's what, think. But, in all honesty, he could be talking about Laurel, too.
That's,
Oh,
gosh. We won't go there. So, moving on to the island, because I want to wrap this show up and get to some news and gossip. But there's a lot of things that came out in the scenes for the island.
That was rough for me to watch. Like, all the stuff with Sarah and, like, how she was looking out for number one and truly herself, threw him to the wolves.
Yes. Every time I thought she was helping him, she was throwing him under the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And then the scene with Shadow and Slade, it revealed something, but at the same time, it was very painful to watch, to be honest with you, because obviously he's very injured.
Mm-hmm.
But we finally get to see that moment where, yes, there was or is something that
between the two of them
happened between the two of them. And to see him laying there in so much pain and then cold and her holding him, I don't know, it was a lot for me to watch.
But now the bad guys know that they're there and are setting out to kill them all because of Sarah.
And Dr. Ivo just told us about this serum. That the whole thing is this not youth serum, but a serum that makes you super soldier.
Like Captain America serum.
You know what, though? But it goes back to, I also do the after show for Beauty and the Beast. And they had the same exact situation where they were creating super soldiers to go to Afghanistan with a serum that they inject you with. And now it's crossing over into Arrow, which is a little bit interesting for me.
But I think that's kind of, it's kind of one of those things. And isn't that the same serum that the Brother Blood was using and he injected the mayor with?
Maybe.
Could that possibly be like along the same lines like that?
But this guy was bleeding. Wasn't he bleeding out the eyes or bleeding out of some sort of orifice that I don't recall what it was? So if that's a super serum.
Well, I wonder, because it looked like he was dead. So I don't know if he's like coming in. But I like wonder if that's, if it turns into like this crazy world of something.
Okay, so I think I'm going to wrap this up just because I do want to get to some of our news and gossip. So let's pull this one all together, end this, and get into that. So first and foremost, I want to talk about, we were saying stuff about The Flash coming up, and a gentleman named Barry Allen is going to be playing The Flash. So some news about him is that he will be in episode 8 and 9, and then returning in episode 20, which is going to be a backdoor pilot for a new Flash series that is also going to be written by Greg Berlanti, Andrew Kreisberg, and Jeff Johns. So same great writing, but totally different aspect is what we're going to have, because this character, they compare it as Oliver being a little bit more on the dark side, and the Flash is a little bit more, I don't want to say upbeat, but just not that tortured soul. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know when that's coming out, possibly next season. I don't know, but there you go. Also, let's see what else. I have a few pictures, so hopefully we can get those pulled up in a few minutes, and then I can give my, opinion/story on all those pictures. But in the meantime, there's also going to be a video that I want to pull up too, but let's check these pictures out first. Okay, so this is a picture of what the comic book version of the Canary looks like. And the reason I pulled this one up is because clearly she has a great figure. And you see the fishnets and the legs. I feel like we don't get to see that with the current Canary because I think she's wearing black pants or something.
She's wearing like a jumpsuit. Yeah.
I don't know. But it's interesting that the costumes are not quite paralleling with each other. This is obviously far more sexy. And then if we can go to the next picture, please. This is a picture of Katie Cassidy, obviously, with Stephen Amell. But the reason I pulled this one up is because this is her figure. She's a beautiful woman, great figure. However, comparing her, and she even said so herself, comparing her to the actual hero of the Canary, she's going to have to get really, really fit and really, really toned for this. Again, slender, beautiful girl, but she's been talking about hitting the gym early because she doesn't know when exactly the Canary is going to swap over and become her character. So right now she's starting to get into it. If you go online and search, she'll talk about her new diet plan and stuff like that, so that's kind of cool too. But moving into our next picture, don't give up the ship. This is obviously one of our favorites, and forgive me for sounding like a very ignorant Arrow fan, but what is all this stuff about the ship? What is that? Why is everyone calling it the ship and don't give up the ship? No? No idea. Well, if you guys know, please tweet me because I'm lost in this situation. Going on to our next photo. This is, I want to say a few episodes again, but it's Officer Lance and Stephen Amell. And I just pulled up this picture because last week I was talking about how much I really, really enjoyed the development of where his character is going, Officer Lance. We saw a softer side of him, less obnoxious, and for a moment there, I almost said, hey, in this picture, you are kind of an attractive older gentleman.
Oh, I absolutely think he is. He used to be on the show. I think it was Lipstick Jungle, and I really liked it.
Oh,
And he's been in a few other shows that I've watched before. I think he is. He's a good-looking man.
Oh, well, you go ahead. Okay, moving into our next picture. And I always love behind-the-scenes pictures, and I like to pull them up and show them to everybody in case they don't get the chance to go online. But this is obviously Stephen Amell in the hood, minus the eyeshadow outside of his trailer. So the cool thing about this picture is it's decently lit to where you get a little bit better of a view of what the detail of his costume is. As silly as it sounds, I'm like, oh, okay, so it's ribbed more on the legs, and I don't know. I like to look at details. Anyhow, going into our next photo, I apologize, it's a little bit smaller, but it is Slade, our character known as Slade. It's Manu Bennett. And the reason I pulled this up is because obviously we're getting closer and closer to hopefully seeing how he turns into Deathstroke. Because we find out that in the beginning, I'd read somewhere that originally it's his partner or his friend. That's the original Deathstroke that we saw in season 1, which obviously he was killed. And somehow he's going to fall into this character. I just don't know how. But seeing this side of him where he got burned and all these things are happening, obviously the doctor and whomever is going to invade the island. I'm thinking somewhere between that and the jealousy with Shadow might be the tipping point of where he turns evil. I don't know. And do I have any other pictures? I may or may not. No, I don't. Okay, so that's it for pictures. I have a tweet coming in, so I'll take a peek at that. Do you think it's referring to the Olisky ship? Yes, I do, but I don't know what the Olisky ship is. That's where my confusion is to Ryozen 92. I am not quite sure.
We're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll figure it
In the
out.
meantime, though, I don't know if you guys have been watching. I finally did get a chance to watch. Oh.
No, you don't.
Yes,
I do.
play the video.
Not my old job in the IT department, but my new job as your executive assistant, which you think I'm going to accept. Your thinking could not be more wrong in this matter.
Felicity Smoke? Hi, I'm Oliver Queen.
Yes, you are.
This is a collection of Felicity's best moments.
Yes, Felicity and Oliver.
I know who you are. You're Mr. Queen.
No, Mr. Queen is my father.
Right, but
This is courtesy of Shining P3 on YouTube.
there's a lunatic high on vertigo who's taking hostages, and you're making tea.
I need to go Wednesday.
It's Friday.
I'm very particular about what it is I put in my body.
I noticed. I said not noticed. Right? At least offer some water. Or coconut.
Felicity! We all need to have superintendents. If I'm going to be Oliver Queen's CEO, then I can't very well travel down 18 floors every time you and I need to discuss how we spend our nights.
And I love spending the night with you. 3, 2, 1. I get that. Why fucking you do that?
I was at my coffee shop surfing the web, and I spilled a latte on it.
Really?
Yeah,
Because these look like little.
my coffee shop isn't in that neighborhood.
May I get you a cup of coffee?
You're not actually offering to get me a cup of coffee, are you?
Yeah, nope. That won't be happening ever. If it's
So you guys can go to YouTube and check it out and see the rest of it. It's a really cute. It's a really cute video. And just one more fun thing. I had the pleasure of attending the GQ Men of the Year party last night, and I ran into Roy Harper and Miss Thea Queen themselves.
Yes.
And it was really fun that they were both there looking great. And what was really interesting is they actually were not hanging out together.
Aww.
They had their own little group of friends. I mean, they did a little bit, but, he kind of ran off with his crew, and she went off with hers, and just, super nice.
So I want to repeat one more time. I found that video on YouTube. It is called The Best of Oliver Queen and Felicity Smoke, and it's by Shining P3. I want to make sure to give her credit. So if you guys get a chance, watch the rest of the video. Leave your comments all about Olisky, and you can hashtag and talk about it on the internet as well, too. So that wraps up today's episode. You can follow me at Kiss My Passport. We can continue to talk all about this amazing Arrowness, and you can follow Kellie at
Kellie with an IE079. And please go to YouTube, rate, comment, do it on iTunes as well, and let us know what you think. And we will see you guys hopefully as a threesome next week.
Yeah, okay. All right, everybody, thank you guys so much. We will see you next Wednesday.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.